Drum roll. It's time for the New York Summit.
Hey,
Gabe's on.
what's
Yo,
up, Paul?
dude, I just, Chime Time gave me the go ahead, and I just set up the thumbnail as per your idea there. Escape from New York theme. Dude, I was laughing so hard making that thumbnail. I swear to God. I don't know why. I just kept laughing
No,
this
it's pretty
morning.
clever. I like it.
Well, I also added the extra one with what's his name? Who was in the snake?
Kurt Russell.
Kurt
Yeah, Snake Plissken.
Snake Plissken. Yeah, yeah. I don't know. I might have to take that one down because it's probably got copyrights all over the place. But
Well, you got it kind of edited, It's partially edited. I don't know the rules on those things. I have no idea.
the other one, the picture I took of New York last winter, a couple winters ago, that's my picture. And that was a super fun night too. Super fun
Yeah,
night,
it's a really cool picture.
dude.
Oh, man. All right, so
I
New
wanted,
York Summit.
yeah. Yeah, I was just gonna say I wanted the New York steam coming up. Like they have the steam coming up from the
Yeah,
roads, man.
yep.
I just
Uh,
growing up, outside New York, I was always kind of fascinated with the city.
yeah. I mean, I've lived in New York and adjacent to New York most of my life, and I'm still fascinated by it. And so many emotions. It's such a cool place. It's such a disgusting place. It's every range of emotions.
Dude,
I have that for New York City. And I was born in Manhattan. I grew up in Brooklyn, Queens, and I'm still working Staten Island, so I'm familiar with it. But it's still, so much of it's just a mystery still. It's an ever changing kind of thing.
dude, whenever I start thinking about New York, I put on, I search on the YouTube for Yankees. Uh, what is that? What is that song? With Jay-Z and what's her name?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
New York State of Mind.
Yeah, yeah.
There's
That's Alicia Keys. Alicia Keys.
Alicia Keys. Yeah, there's one version that they sang that song at
Yeah.
at a Yankees game, and the Yankees were losing the series. And then if you watch that song is so powerful because it's about New York, but I think everybody resonates with that idea that you can make it. You know what I mean? You can make it anywhere.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, it's kind of funny. New York doesn't really exist. It exists in our minds and our imaginations. It exists in our hearts.
yeah, yeah.
no,
There's fuck yeah. There's a lot of truth to that, and that
no,
song inspires me.
there's the thing. If you can make it there, you can make it anywhere. That's what they say. A lot of people, New Yorkers, take for granted how harsh it could be living here because that's all we know. Like when I lived in Texas for a while, or when I interact with people in other countries, to me, this is just life. It's only when I interact with people that have like slower paces of life and less aggressive kind of styles of life. You're like, oh, this is kind of harsh in its own way.
Well, it's how it is. If you live anywhere, you just get used to it, and it's normal. It's you adjust, and it's the same in Tokyo. Tokyo is whenever anybody visited me, it was always very crowded, and everybody was like, "How could you live here?" But if you live there, it's actually very comfortable. It's a very nice place to live,
Yeah.
actually, and
Yeah.
I think New York is too. I think the the opinions of the people that visit is not their real opinion. It's just their kind of culture shock, when they first get there.
Yeah.
But then you realize there's so many benefits. And I think one thing about having a summit in New York and in Tokyo, places like that, is that people that don't think they're city people, they come and, like you and Chime Time, and there's a bunch of guys who grew up in New York. And basically, when you see the city through other people's eyes that grew up there, it's very comfortable and it's very cool, and the food is great. It's cheap too.
Yeah.
Like his
Yeah.
neighborhood, fucking food is great. Like really,
Yeah.
you don't get like around here. There's no food like that. You can't just get ready-made food like for like $10, $12. Get a big, healthy meal in 2
Yeah.
seconds.
And Manhattan's even better. Honestly, in Manhattan, it's better than Brooklyn. Maybe it's a little more expensive, but you could still find cheap food in Manhattan also. Manhattan's really where it's at. It's just so expensive to be there. But, that's city number one. In some ways, it's like the main city of the earth, or at least it was in the 90s. Now I guess there's some argument to be made, it could be other places. But if aliens came, they would go to New York, something like that, right?
Well, I think that's the thing. Like I spent a lot of my life in big cities. I grew up in the desert, in the middle of nowhere, and then moved to California, which is still very quiet, on the beach. And then I went to Tokyo, and I went to Bangkok, and I went to Shanghai and Beijing and in New York. And like, I spent most of my life, my adult life, in the big cities. And I didn't think I would be a big city guy. I still don't think of myself, you know what I mean? I don't think of myself as a big city guy. And I remember when I first went to Tokyo, how blown away I was by Tokyo. I was completely blown away. I was absolutely blown away. Like, I could not believe the city. I could not believe all the people. I could not believe all the buildings, the subways, the action, the lights, the sounds. I just was totally blown away. But the thing was, when I was there, it was very cool to be a foreigner, right? And so the Japanese kind of looked up to me as like knowing something they didn't know, in a way, at that period. Yeah. But I looked at them like they knew something I didn't know. Like, they were sophisticated, modern people in many ways, And I was just learning and adjusting. I felt like a small town boy, in a big city, and nobody knew that, which was kind of cool, actually. They looked at me as a sophisticated guy who knew what was going on, but actually, I didn't feel that way. I felt the opposite.
As far as big cities go, I will say my first time in Bangkok, I was very surprised with like how nice it was. I really was.
Yeah.
Of course, it's got its rough edges and its grimy alleyways and whatever, but I expected it all to be kind of rough, which it's not the case at all. Like, a lot of it's very luxurious.
Oh, dude, you got to see what they did to the park in near Terminal 21, that big park.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, that park is now like 20 times bigger.
Really?
That park goes all the
down.
Dude, yeah, it goes. What happened was there was a massive area. Remember that walkway that goes to Lumpini? There was that walkway. All along there was what was called the tobacco factory, and they took it all down and they made it all into a park. It's like it must be the world's biggest park in a big city. It has to be. Mm-hmm. And it goes all the way to Lumpini now. And it's amazing. I can't wait to get back and see it.
I think the thing that's unique about Manhattan, because we're talking about New York Summit coming up, Labor Day weekend, 2022. Guys, book your tickets.
Yeah, as soon as possible. And let me add in, if you're going to come, like, definitely check Spirit Airlines, because I got a return flight for $68. And, like you pay each way, but the return was around the summit dates, and it was only $68. So I kind of picked those dates because I knew it was going to be cheap to fly. So it's definitely cheap to go in New York that weekend.
Well, sometimes Labor Day weekend is expensive because it is a holiday weekend. But it is a good weekend for the summit because it's a holiday weekend.
Right. Well, but the thing is, I'm flying back on the 9th, which is just after the summit.
Right.
It's only $68.
So fly back right after, right?
Yeah.
So that's a good point also.
Yeah, we got Chime's house until the 6th, right? So that's done. So, we can figure something out, but I would say to the guys, like, book it. You can't get New York any cheaper than that. I mean, it's so cheap there because we got a free place to stay, right? We're going to be eating all reasonable food. Like, a lot of guys don't know this, right? Just bring a sleeping bag, right? We're hanging out.
Yeah.
It's like a bunch of fucking dudes doing a camp out or something. You know what I mean? Plus, we're checking out the city and seeing cool shit, right?
Yeah. Let me say this about, when was the last New York one? Was 2020, right?
Oh, it was a long time ago. It
was 2020 because I spent a whole day in Chinatown a couple weeks ago, and it was awesome. And I remember when we went in 2020, it was dead. because Chinese areas are very during COVID they were hit hardest, arguably. So New York
Oh,
City, then at least now it's mostly back, and it's different now. It's definitely harsher than it was, but it's alive again. 2020 New York Summit, the city was still kind of effed up from COVID, and there was a lot of COVID restrictions, and people were just down. Now a lot of that is kind of past, so the experience should be, I expect, to be a lot livelier than the last one.
right.
Chinatown's awesome. It's great there.
Yeah.
Food's so cheap.
Yeah.
Who
Oh.
knows what you're eating, but it's delicious and cheap.
It's really great. I can't wait to take. Part of the whole, I guess, if you say what is Ronin Man channel, like a lot of it is when you break out of whatever you were doing, right? Whatever the society had for you, whatever you were doing, planning with your life, and then suddenly you're like, wait, what do I want to do with the rest of my life? Because it really is like the Matrix. Like once you realize you're not going to do what your parents planned, you're not going to go down society's
Yeah,
path. All of a sudden,
I
you have
think
tons
part.
of free time, tons. And if you don't have any like any normal guy, you don't know what you're going to do with the time. So a lot of guys they kind of give up and say, well, I may as well just do what society wants. But one of the thing that when you meet a bunch of guys who are living the way we live, you kind of see the world through different glasses. Like I want to take guys to
Yeah,
like you don't have to spend a lot of money in New York. Like I don't spend any money in New York. Like me, I probably spend $20 a day, right? Something like that.
yeah,
And that's everything. That's fucking
and
everything.
that's I would argue part of that is you buying at least one big meal a day. If
Yeah.
you changed one meal to that can of tuna style, you could do it for less.
Oh, definitely,
You know,
definitely. Oh yeah, for sure. Like I'm out eating. I'm out all day, and
yeah,
there's that.
paying for Metro cards and whatever.
Yeah,
It's not.
there's that great. There's a that Japan Center. That
Yeah,
place is fucking. It's right near where we're staying at the Summit location, their Chimes House, and it's fucking. That place is absolutely delicious. That huge piece of salmon with the natto.
yeah,
That's like so reasonable. Like it's I forgot what it costs, but it's definitely under $15 for like probably 3/4 of a pound of salmon with Japanese fermented soybeans. Dude, that's some tasty
yeah.
shit, dude. That's healthy and tasty, man.
And being that it's Labor Day weekend, of course, it's going to be trafficy, but
Yeah, but
I'm
we
just going
won't.
to say people never talk about New York beaches because there are some really nice beaches here. It's just a little bit out of the way, but they're really nice beaches. So I don't know whether or not that's something that'll be on the agenda, but who knows?
Yeah, we probably won't be driving that much. We'll be mostly taking the subway because it's right convenient,
Right.
and we can walk.
Yeah.
We can walk to Ground Zero. We can walk all over the fucking place. There's all kinds of fantastic places to walk around. Like
Yeah.
we'll probably have meetings at Greenwood Cemetery, Sunset Park. You know, near.
Maybe we could spend more time in Central Park also. We didn't really spend much time there.
Central Park is really cool. You're right.
You know what? I guarantee you, Labor Day weekend, they're going to have a lot of activities going on there.
Oh, for sure, for
For sure.
sure, and like lots of free.
All kinds of pride stuff going on. It'd be a spectator thing for sure.
Dude, there's so much going on. There's always concerts. There's even like things like if you haven't been in New York, like even just like the cops on horseback is pretty cool, right?
Yeah, they take giant dumps all over the street.
Yeah,
The
yeah,
cops do, of course.
yeah. There's
Not
a
the horses.
lot. There's a lot of interesting
Yeah.
shit going on in New York. It really
I,
is.
I just wanted to amend this to what you were saying a minute ago about like when guys question what they'll do for the rest of their life. I think that's part of the problem is when you think about what you're going to do for the rest of your life. That's such a long-term thing that I think people get overwhelmed by the thought that they have to do something for the rest of their life, but they feel like they have to. Like I don't think about the rest of my life, and in some way I do, but I don't think in such sweeping lifetime type of things. I'm like, what do I want to do in the near term, not with my life? That feels a little oppressive or something, a little trapping.
Yeah, one day at a time, one day at a time. But
Yeah.
the thing is, when you know that, that it's basically like for example, if you're a cow, right? And you realize that you're going into the meat factory, right? That you're going to just get chopped up and ground into hamburger, right? And die. That's the visceral reaction men are having today with the system. And they're like, I don't care what I do. I'm not going to do that. Like, I'm not going to allow
Yeah.
myself to be used and chopped up and thrown away. Society doesn't give a shit. The whole court system is against us. You can't even have a kid anymore because you never have a kid. Like a woman can have a kid.
And let me just say this for anyone that's listening. Both me and Paul right now are holding back anything we could actually say because of YouTube or whatever. But like in the summit, things are a lot more specific.
Oh, we blow it out at the summit. And a lot of the stuff doesn't get recorded. The good stuff, most of the good stuff doesn't get recorded. And that's why I always encourage people to come early and stay late, because sometimes like the best meetings start before the summit,
Yeah, I think coming early is a little better. Not necessarily staying late's bad, but a lot of people leave after. But I think coming early always, you kind of get grounded. You get to build some initial connection with the people that came early. You get some bearings on your surroundings.
That's a good point, actually. Yeah.
Because some guys get overwhelmed by, not overwhelmed, but they're not used to that type of environment. I've been doing this stuff for years. You've been doing this stuff for years. So, to us, it's easy to, you've seen it. Some guys, it's just a little too much with a lot of people being vulnerable, a lot of people being honest. So it's good to get your bearings.
Yeah,
get comfortable with the people,
Yeah, we had at the last summit in LA. There was one guy who came. He was actually a local dude, but the first day he couldn't sleep and he was worried, And I said, "Don't worry, you're going to be fine." And then I think it was the second day or third day, he just slept like a baby, and he was like, you could see that he totally got it. He was like totally stoked. There's so much intangible stuff that happened when you get a bunch of guys together like this.
Yeah.
It's like you can't put it into words exactly, but he totally got it. And he was like, everything changed, his whole demeanor changed. And it was pretty amazing to watch, actually, because I never know,
I would say a difference between, I was thinking about with my ex-girlfriend, she used to go to New York, Manhattan, these stupid like goddess meetings or whatever, so jerk off stuff. But the difference between these, like the women's meetings and the guys meetings, like we'll hear you out where you are, but like it's not that we're gonna lambast you, but we're gonna be honest with you. I think that's, women, they go to their things and they're like, yes, goddess, yes, queen slay or whatever. But if you have something and you have blind spots, we're gonna call it out, right? In a loving way, or sometimes not loving way if that's what's needed.
Yeah, for sure. Like that's the thing too, you're right. I think the best way to put that into words, or for me, is a lot of this stuff that we think we need to work on, right? We think, okay, I need to fix this, or this is one of my weak points. And then when you get around a bunch of guys who are watching you do things, right, they often don't agree. They're like, actually, you should work on this, and it's like a pretty big shock, because you're like, well, I thought I had that down, or I never even thought about that thing. And then people realize that they got rough parts of their personality they didn't think about, and things that are driving people away. And it helps them to put things into perspective and realize why life is the way it is, because you got guys watching you, because you can't trust your own opinion sometimes about yourself. It is very difficult to see yourself, and you need outside opinions. That's one thing I love about YouTube, is I put myself out there, and then I get a lot of responses that I never thought of, right? I would never even consider. And it's the same thing, with being with the guys at the summit, is people will comment and they'll also give advice. They'll say, you always do it this way, which is cool, but have you ever thought about this? Add this to this and do this. And I'll be like, oh my God, that's a better idea. Like that is a fucking great idea. And a lot of, especially food and stuff, and ways to like, even like simple things like everybody
Food's
comes.
a big one.
Yeah, food, but like a way to make food. And then also like, guys like JB, he always has a bunch of like gadgets. You know what I mean? He's always got a bunch of new gadgets. And it's always very interesting to see what he brings. And Chime Time's the same way. He's always got like a very, masculine, cool bag with a knife and with like all kinds of shit that you wouldn't. And he's like, oh, this brand here. What's that?
Some nunchucks.
Yeah, somebody brought, I think JB brought nunchucks to the LA Summit. Yeah. And like, guys have stuff too that you think, fuck, that's pretty cool. Like I could do that. And another thing we did, this is kind of a new tradition. I don't know if it works in New York that much, but we went to a bunch of thrift stores at, which summit was it? In Austin. We went to a lot of thrift stores and everybody was into it. And we got some new clothes for some of the guys who wore like the same clothes every day,
Yeah.
And it was like, it sounds dumb, but they were like almost, you know what I mean? Like affected them. Like they were like, oh my God. Like,
no, it's cool.
Yeah.
There's definitely thrift stores here for sure. There are thrift stores in New York.
The one I went to sucked. The one I went to near the Barclays Center, it fucking sucked.
Oh yeah, no, that's a disgusting area. I know the one you're talking about. That area is disgusting. That store is disgusting. I'm talking about in Manhattan where they're like name brand thrift stores. They're a little more expensive than your Goodwill would be, but there's no actual like good Goodwill in New York, and I can explain why, but not on this YouTube.
Yeah. I'll I would be stoked on checking it out, and I think that would be a good thing too, because I think a lot of people, a lot of guys, especially men, get stuck in one persona,
Right.
And they'll wear.
What I wanted to say, going, to what we were talking about right before then, is you get this way of being, and the people around you that like you to tolerate you to like you, they are not going to correct you on things that they find offensive or annoying, or if they like you enough, they will. But generally, they're just going to leave you be there. I'm like, that guy always has stinky breath. Oh, that guy with the gross teeth. Oh, yeah. And no one will say anything. But if you come to the summit, someone's going to be like, dude, you've got to go to a dentist. Your teeth are effed up,
Right.
So,
right.
Where the people around you day to day, they're just going to be like, whatever, let them, whatever happens.
Yep. And that is gold. That is, a lot of guys, you want things in life, right? And you wonder why you don't get them. And often the reason is very tangible, and you just need someone to help you, a loving person, like someone who wants to help you, right? They're like, hey, you might want to, do this, and try it this way. I did it this way and changed, I felt better about it. And then you try it and you're like, wow. It might sound simple on paper, but so many people go to the grave without ever changing, and like, I know for sure, like Chime Time's going to talk about psychedelics in his talk, both like heroic dose, like large, like basically heavy trips, and then also microdosing. And I think, that has become a topic more common, usually after summits, like after the official summit's over, but there's more and more people that are interested in psychedelic experiences and talking about that and learning about that. And like, I think for people that are stuck, I think we're all stuck in certain things, right? In life, right?
Right.
And it really helps to be around people. I know that being around you guys has been just wonderful for me. Like all these new people with new ideas and new plans and new energy, and like, I forget it because it's my life, right? But then when I meet a person who's my age, who just doesn't, maybe has like one friend he hangs out with and then his wife or whatever, it always a big shock to my system, because I'm like, oh my God, would that be me if I didn't, have my life? Like, whoa.
Yeah.
Holy shit. Like, wow.
Very common. very common.
Yeah. And like, it's one of these things. It's so what's it called? Virulent. Like it doesn't want to change, you know. But being around a bunch
Yeah,
of guys, it's like that are in the same mindset, that understand the way the world is. You don't really have to explain anything to them, you know. They know what's going on.
yeah. It's hard to put into words because it is such a wide age range, but there is a commonality that all of us have. Otherwise, we wouldn't be in the same environment, right? We wouldn't put ourselves in the summit if we didn't have any commonality. But, I relate to you as well as I relate to anyone else. And there have been people 18 years old, I guess, is the youngest person that's been there, 19,
Yeah.
right? And then the oldest, there was the guy in Bangkok that was like 70, right? I didn't meet him.
That guy was awesome, man.
Yeah.
Oh man,
So,
he was so inspiring, that guy. I forgot his name, but
yeah.
that guy was great. I hope he comes back. Yeah, that was one of the very first summits. That was a long time ago, man. That was like 4 years ago.
Yep. And that was right before we met. So.
Oh, right.
Yeah, well, we were talking already at that point, like over internet, but I didn't make it to that summit. It was too late in the year. I had already used my vacation days. So then I came to the following one. Yeah, 4 years though.
Right.
Oh, time flies. Come on, guys.
It does,
Book
man.
that ticket.
It does
Book
fly.
that ticket. Come out and see us. Come hang out.
It does fly. And once you make a bunch of new friends, like I was saying about meeting people my age who are just kind of living normal, like suburban lives, your life changes. Like, I don't think, what I think is so important about the summits is you have the internet, right? Which is a way to find people that are pushing the envelope in the same way you are, right? Or want to, right? But there's something very important, grounding, about meeting people. There is something that I can't put a fucking word on it, or a title, but when you actually see people doing stuff that they're talking about.
Yeah, I think nowadays is going to be a little bit heady, and I don't know if I'm going to convey it well, but so much of people's attention and their mind is actually spent in the internet that in some way a lot of their personality is actually in the internet, not like their physical body. And as an example, a couple weeks ago, I went to a dance party on the beach. It was awesome. Just like big dance party right on the shore, like in the water and on the shoreline.
Where was it?
Like,
Jersey Shore, or where was it?
No, this was in the Rockaways. So it's like a slip of land. It's just outside New York City,
okay,
just to the east of it. We could go out there if you want. It's pretty cool. It's an interesting place.
Okay.
And there may be another dance party out there. So if there is, I'll bring you for sure. So awesome. It's like 5-to-1 girls to guys, right? Totally batshit crazy leftist girls, but whatever. It is cool. It was a good time. But I noticed there were these girls that were maybe early 20s, and they would take their phones out, start recording, and then they would start dancing and having a great time, and then they would stop the recording and then just go back to like standing there. And I'm wondering how much of their personality is like actually that Instagram personality. Is that actually the real them? And like when it's not recording, this is like a husk that moves the real internet them around. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying.
I totally get it. And I think that's the thing that I think a lot of guys get out of the summit, is they realize that this is real. That
right.
This is not talk. Like I am like desperately into this shit. Like it is like a deep, deep value for me that I will sacrifice a lot for, and I think that's way beyond what even people imagine. They think, well, maybe he lives like this sometimes, right? It's not even that I live like this sometimes. Like, I don't give a fuck. This is my life. You know what I mean? Like, this is what I'm into. I'm trying to convey it with words, but sometimes it doesn't work. You just need to see people. And then you're like, oh shit, okay. There's so much depth, that you can go.
And we all have our different ways. You and me and Chime Time, we're all very different people. We have our own very distinct things that we like.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I hope Dave comes. I hope Drinking Dave comes. I don't know if he's going to come or not, but I hope he comes. See. Yeah, I'd love him to come. Yeah.
But This
there's
is going to be a good one. Guys, listen, come buy our tickets. It's going to be a great time. Let me tell you for myself, I started going, in 2019. Beginning of 2019 was my first summit. I've been to a bunch of them at this point, and me and Paul are close friends now, and he comes, stays by me, and all that stuff. It's cool. And I'm at the point personally now, of course, I still need work on myself, but I feel personally at the point where I'm happy to go to the summits to be support to you, Paul, and to be like auxiliary support to anyone else that needs it. I don't go out of my way saying, hey, let me help you, let me fix you, or anything like that. I'm just there as like a grounding personality. I'm here, if you want to talk to someone about something, I'm here. If you want to talk to someone that's not Paul about something, I'm here. I'll help if I can. I have a car and I could drive a little bit if someone needs something, right? So I'm at the point where I'm happy to help. I of course still get my own stuff out of it, but I know it's appreciated also. So
oh, for sure. People definitely, yeah, I think your experience, people realize, oh shit, Gabe knows shit, and you've
it's
gone
not
through
my
a lot.
first rodeo.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah. Fuck, that's great, man. That is great. Like you told me how when I was staying at your house last time, you said how I can't believe you're here kind of thing. And it's like we met on the internet and you were like, I want to meet that guy. And then you did, right? And we got to be friends, right? And
yeah,
the thing is, I was the same way. Like very similar to you. I had people that I wanted to meet. I wanted to be part of certain things, like, and I would reach out to them and I became good friends with them. And I didn't, it wasn't any kind of a worship thing. It was like, I knew they knew stuff that I wanted to know, and I wanted to share ideas with them and listen to them and get deeper understanding of what I wanted to know, right? Like, for example, with the pickup guys, I wasn't interested in pickup anymore. I was already kind of done with that stage in my life, but I was very interested in what there is to learn from interactions with people, right? I was very interested to meet other people who had experiences like me, but different and deeper, and deeper in some areas and less in others. I wanted to share true communication with people who knew things I knew that almost nobody else knows. You know what I mean? And I also
yeah,
wanted to learn if there was anything that I was completely wrong about. I wanted to, even though I wasn't interested in pickup anymore. You know what I mean? It was like I was past that point. But there was so much value because I saw them. I knew how different they are than the average guys. They're willing to go up and take rejection. And like, it wasn't like it was that deep, but it was like I really wanted to meet them, and I became friends with the top guys that through starting like you this, and it was like a very good experience. And I've been the same way with famous people that I really want to meet. I will text them and stuff, and eventually we're friends, right? And it's like
yeah,
and the thing is I guess the thing is this. Here's what I'm really trying to say is there's a lot of bullshitters out there, but there are people out there that are truly unique and special. And when I have somebody that I want to meet, like I still believe in life, right?
yeah,
It's not all bullshit out there. There are people who know shit that I don't know, right? And I want to meet them because if I don't meet them before they die, I won't get that, right? I won't learn that,
yeah,
right? So
yeah,
it's like a belief that, and I'm very careful about, of course, who I'm going towards. But once I know somebody knows something, I'm gonna try to meet them. Like there's so many people, and I think what it is they don't want to believe in the good in life. They want to believe that everything's fake, and it makes them feel comfortable. It makes them like, as long as they don't have any hope, they feel like they're not going to ever have their heart broken or something. For
yeah,
me, that's not the way I go about life. I'm not living in a dream, but I also know there's a lot of amazing people out there that I can learn a lot from. And
yeah,
if I do meet somebody that, it turns out, like you said, like those girls that just had kind of a fake Instagram, and there's so many people who would say everything is fake. And that's fine because that's a protective mechanism for them. That protects them against having to grow, right? You don't have to grow if everybody's an idiot. If everybody's fake, you can just keep being the same person. You don't have to change, right? They're total idiots, right? So what do you have to change? You're fine, right? And the other thing is too is you don't have to take any risks. You don't have to take any risks. If everybody is an idiot and everybody's fake out there, then you can just live in your little bubble, go to the gas station, go to work. You don't have to ever take any risk. And I think a lot of guys who pretend like everybody's full of shit, it's actually fear of real life. Because I believe, and I know it's true, there's a lot of amazing people out there. Like really, I've met them and I go and meet them. And I realize that I'm not saying everybody's perfect. I'm saying they have a lot to fucking teach me. So there's people that are now passed away that I would love to meet. Guys like Ansel Adams and people that, people,
missed them, right?
Yeah.
Missed them. You're like, damn.
They
could have, and that's it.
They had a unique way of looking at life, and they went out and did it and didn't give a shit, Yeah. And I really believe that some people have figured out certain things in life, right? And I want to get that from them. I don't accept what is handed to me in life. Like, my friends, my area, my parents, my life. I don't accept that is what I deserve or all I can get. Like, I'm going to go out there. Sure, some people are going to let me down. And other people are going to blow my fucking mind. And other people are going to terrify me because I'll realize how far behind I am. Right?
Yeah. Let me, to that, because I'll avoid doxing the person or my relationship to them, but, I practice my sport and I intentionally went and sought out the best people in the world and I became friends with them. And now I'm like friends with literally the best guys in the world in my sport. And when I met them, everyone, I think all guys kind of have this thing in their mind that like, I could be great at something, right? Like, oh, I could be great at this. I could be great at whatever, kind of, right? Like I could be great at anything. And then you meet the people that are the best and you're like, I'm not even close. Like that's a different type of person. And in some way it's a relief because it's like, oh, I don't have to try to be that because it's so impossible for me to be that I'm okay being myself. If that makes sense.
Yeah. That's the thing too, is you realize that some people are truly gifted in certain areas and
super dedicated, super hardworking.
Yeah.
Just in comparison, you see what it takes to be the best and you realize like for a moment it stinks, but like, you know what, honestly, I don't want it that bad. I don't have that in me, but it's good to know those people. It's super inspiring in a way. I don't know how to articulate it.
Yeah. No, that's the thing is it's a protective mechanism. Thinking everything is fake, it's a protective mechanism. And it's a very, very insidious one too. It's that kind of cynical, like, kind of like, it sounds dumb, but like I read a book once and it sucked. I never read another one, right? It's that kind of attitude. It's like, I already know that this is this, so I don't need to find out. And the thing is like, it's so not true. It's like life is so rich. There's so many countries to go to. There's so many different ways to look at life. And like, I once in a while will get into that thing where, like, for example, let me just give you an example. I don't know if people can relate to this, but like a lot of people will say that this culture is wiser than that culture, or like Chinese proverbs are very deep and this and that. And then you'll have people like who don't understand anything about Chinese culture using the proverbs as if they're some kind of special person because they're using this proverb, right? They're trying to say with their proverb, they're trying to say, I'm better than you and I'm smarter than you. And that's why I'm telling you this. And, I actually care and I'm sensitive. There's so many bullshitters, right?
I used to be like that, by the way, when I was like 18, 19, 20. Disgusting.
Okay.
That's how I was.
Okay. And the thing is like, I have like lived in Asia most of my life. So a lot of those proverbs are part of my kind of the framework of my brain kind of thing, kind of the fundamental idea that I have, and I think it's my idea, and then I realize, people will say like your ideas are Zen, and I'm like, what do you mean? Like, and they're like, well, that's a Zen idea. That's a Zen idea. And I don't think it's from Zen. I think it's my idea, but it had to be, right? Because nobody else that grew up around here has those ideas, So I realized, oh shit, like I've actually been infiltrated and changed and integrated these ideas. And like at the same time as some other person will totally use the same concept to drive a wedge between people and to try to make themselves better than other people with no attempt on their own part to integrate the concept that they're talking about either. So there's a total dishonesty. So I can understand how people would have their hearts broken by other people, right? I understand that. But I think a lot of life is just saying, yeah, and just keep going because there's so much there. It's really dumb. It's really dumb to give up is what I'm saying. At the end of the day, you're an idiot if you gave up. Like, because you're giving up because of some idiot. Like, giving up because of some idiot when there's all this great stuff out there doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It just doesn't. You're the guy making the mistake. You're the one who's missing out. And you can be right about everything, but you're wrong about your whole life, It's like, no, man. I think, of course, you choose wisely who you go to, what but once you kind of start figuring shit out that other people know stuff and you have a respect for that, like I have, Shawn's ability in math and physics, I will never have that ability. Like there's some things I can build, like I can learn a new language, maybe, I could learn like, a tough language, like, Arabic or something, that maybe Shawn would have difficulty with, right? But I won't have his skills. But I really appreciate the way his brain is structured so differently than mine. And the way he studied so hard to be where he's at. And the utter uniqueness of the guy. He's so unique. There's not many people like Shawn, actually. That's why I wanted the Ask Shawn episode, because there's very few people who have the latent talent and also the discipline and the right parents and the right situation where they actually maximize that latent talent that they had.
Right.
So it's like, I'm very grateful to have different people. And I can take the hit too, like on my own ego, because as much as I care about those things, I don't know those things, right? And I know that I'm never going to, you know what I mean? Like at my age, I'm never going to become Shawn with math. It's just not going to happen, right? Which is fine because I have Shawn as a friend and I can ask him questions, right? And, we were working right now we're just fucking around on a possible idea for a new speaker and amplifier, designing one, that we were possibly going to manufacture, right? And we were kind of going, he's the math and I'm the speaker guy, right? So we were kind of talking about it, and whether it turns into a viable product or not, it's very fun to work on, and I can really appreciate the amount of talent, and I can also be comfortable in myself with my own talents at the same time as appreciate his talents, right? I think that's the ultimate thing. Is some things you can get, and you better get off your fucking ass and do it, and other things you just have to sit back and awe and say, wow. And I think a lot of guys have difficulty with that because they feel like I have to be good at everything. But there's certain things that you just look at other people in fucking awe. You're like, how do you do that?
Right.
How the fuck do you do that?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yep. It's humbling in a way, right? You just have to say, well, I have a friend. He's a robot doctor. He actually has a doctorate in robotics, and seeing him on a computer, I'm just like, what the fuck? You're like, I have no idea what the fuck is going on. I'm just like, all right, whatever he's doing, it's very important, I guess. So nothing to do with my reality at all. So just accept it.
Yeah, it is. And the thing is, when you can do that, it's almost like looking at the stars when you look at somebody with talent that you know that you don't have it. Like whether it's singing or, whatever it is, it's something that they're born with, right? you look back and you feel this sense of like smallness, right? At first, right?
Right.
But then if you really sit there a while, like in your mind, you'll realize that you have talents that other people don't have. So you're not really putting yourself down. What you're doing is you're accepting the complex reality of life. And also, if you go back even farther, right, and look at yourself from the outside, being able to be friends with talented people without being in competition with them, right?
Right.
You will realize that that is the way to a rich, balanced life.
Yeah, it's so enriching. I've got to say, so having like friends that are way better than me at things is such a boon in some way.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know, it's nourishing or something like that.
Well, the thing is, they are on your side. They're not in, like, men have traditionally always thought every guy's in competition with them. But the thing is like, and this is the feeling I get at the summit, is like guys are there to give their talents to make everything go better, right? Like they're not trying to take over. They're not like, I'm doing that. It's like, would my talent be valuable here? Kind of feeling. And then you realize like, whoa, nobody's overshadowing anybody. Nobody's, like everybody's just like, here's my talent. Like, here's what I want to give. Here's what I want to learn. Or some people come to the summit and they're like blown away. Like one guy who went to the LA summit, he sent me a message. He goes, I just realized that everything I know is wrong. Like that I totally am wrong about everything. And a lot of guys would say, well, that's no self-esteem, right? They would say that. And that guy doesn't have self-esteem. But what I would say is that is the proper use of shame. So when I went to 12-step programs when I was 21, I remember one time I was looking in the mirror and I looked at myself and I thought, because I kind of went by the mirror real quick, and I was 21 years old. I was having a lot of problems and I looked in the mirror and I thought, oh my God, it's clear to me. I hate that guy. And I actually hated the person that was in the mirror, which was me. And that was when I knew that my life was a mess. You know what I mean? That I needed help, And that was when I went on my journey of, recovery and doing all that, right? Which is complicated. I mean, like everybody that knows me, I'm letting, we'll go into it at the summit. But the thing is like, I felt shame was what I had become, right? I think one of the biggest problems with modern women is there never is this sense of shame. So, for example, people will say, don't hate the person, just hate the action, okay?
Right.
And I understand that. That's a way of separating action from person. That's important. Like with a dog, you want the dog to know that he's not supposed to pee on the floor. You like him as a dog. He's a great dog. But you're going to punish him for peeing on the floor. So you have to punish him right away so he understands it's only the action, right? But the thing is with shame, what shame used to be an important part of human society, where
I'll just throw in a quote. Seneca said, this is, Roman days, he said, shame restrains what law cannot prohibit.
That's right.
So,
That's right. And women would not be single mothers because of shame. And men would not be drunken idiots because of shame. And, even contrary to any of the 12-step stuff, some people just stop drinking on their own. They just fucking say, fuck it, I'm not going to do it, Yeah. My grandfather did that. He was an alcoholic and he just one day quit, And people have definitely done that in history, 100%. And it was through shame, and I allow myself to have the full range of emotions. And when I was ashamed of what I had become, it was like, that was when I opened myself up to totally changing. Because I said, what I'm doing is just not working. And I would say, oh, no, I'm right about this. Like, nope. everything needs to be reanalyzed. Like I am in a place that is so lame for my amount of talent and who I am. It is so fucking lame that I got to doubt everything for a little bit. You know what I mean? Like I got to say, I'm wrong. I'm going to look outside myself for ways to restructure my life to make a good life. I'm not going to hold on to, I'm right, I'm right, I'm right. Of course, I'm going to find, when I do a full inventory of my true life, I'm going to find things I'm doing right. You know what I mean? I'm not saying everything is wrong, but
Right.
there's so many fundamental beliefs. Like this guy that was talking about that, he was saying that there's so many fundamental beliefs that are wrong. And I challenge him. I know the moment that it happened because I realized he wasn't getting it at the summit. And I just said, dude, you're not fucking getting it. You know what I mean? Like I was like, you're still defending this other person. And like, that is not correct, and you shouldn't have done it then and you shouldn't do it now. He was like, I called him on, I could see what he was doing. And like, it was so beautiful because he, weeks later, he processed that conversation that we had. And I think it was recorded. And
that's an overt thing that's noticeable. I would say about people that go to the summit, especially if you go to a few summits, or at least if you go to one and stay in contact with the other people, there are things that are going to change that you're not going to notice what they are. You're not going to be able to say, oh, it's that thing or that changed.
Right.
There's going to be subtle things that integrate, not over a day, not over a week, but after even months of passing thoughts that you have little by little, and then you start considering things a little bit differently over a while.
Yeah, it's true. There's so much depth in creating the relationships that happen at summits. And it goes on forever, really, because now you have friendships with these people, right?
Yeah.
And as
a lot of these guys,
a
lot of guys I still talk to at least once a week.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So, and you included, obviously, but there's a lot of guys that I talk to on the side, and I talk to them once, twice, 3 times a week sometimes. So,
yeah.
And it's been great. It adds a lot to my life.
I mean, think how many places you went you wouldn't have gone.
Yeah.
Even like Thailand,
That's true.
It's like, it like allows you to give yourself an excuse to go somewhere,
Yeah. When we went to the desert, I love that. When we went during the beginning of COVID thing, but
the La Jolla Summit.
Yeah.
That was such a cool day.
Yeah, that was great, man. I'll always remember that for the rest of my life, just going out to the desert and just hanging out. I grabbed a cactus and it hurt so bad.
Yeah, I remember that. Because you didn't know. I did that as a kid. That's called Anzo Borrego Desert, where we went. And I was born in the desert, and I have a lot more desert to show you. Like, I have a deep understanding of the desert. If we sit there and watch the sunrise in the morning together, like on top of a mountain in the desert, whether we're tripping or not, we're just sitting there, you will, if you sit up there, you realize, like you sit for a long time, when it's cool in the morning, early morning, like sun, it's still stars out, and then you're sitting there, like I say, in a sleeping bag, and you're looking and looking, and as the light comes, the animals, as you sit there quietly, you'll realize there's animals all over the place in the desert. It's just that you don't notice them when you rush in the daytime. But you realize there's water, there's animals, there's so much life and peace in the desert. It's amazing. Like, there's so much to learn about the desert. Like, people were like, oh, desertification is happening. It's like, that's fine with me. Desert is amazing. Yeah.
Hopefully we'll get a desert summit, maybe in Egypt or something. I'm down for a desert summit.
Yeah. Well, I did
Arizona, wherever.
I went across the Gobi Desert in Russia, Mongolia, and China, and I spent a long time there because the girl that I had the company with, she was from the desert, and her parents were actually not Han Chinese. They were like a mix of desert people. Her dad had like a very foreign looking, like a white guy looking jaw, but Chinese guy. And
Mongolian type.
Yeah, he like no, not Mongolian. No. He had like a.
the steppes people. I don't know what you.
There's a lot of different people there in that area. There's like a lot of green-eyed girls and different. Yeah, there's a mix. A lot of it is Russian blood, that got into
Right.
there because it's on the border, or it's not on the border, but I mean it's somewhat,
Yeah.
historically near the border. There's a mixing of people, but that desert, the one desert I've never done is the Sahara Desert in Africa, but I've done a lot of deserts, and whenever there is a desert, I take my time. Like I rode the motorcycle across the Gobi, and it was awesome, dude. And one thing I really want to do, which I've never done, is take a hot air balloon from Gansu province to Shanghai. You can rent an air balloon and actually take it all the way to the water. That's something I wanted to do. I've never done. It was super cheap when I looked into it. And I swear to God, it was so cheap when it was like $15 a day or something. Now it's probably hundreds of dollars a day. But it's there's things you can do other countries that are amazing. But deserts and jungles. You've never really done the jungle, right?
No, I don't think so. I guess no, not a real jungle. I've been to some places in Peru, but I wouldn't say they were really jungles.
Right. Okay. So you have seen. No, you've gotten a feeling of it though. Yeah. Jungles are amazing. Like before they tore down the jungle in Sumatra when I was there, before they put up all the cinnamon and everything plantations, palm oil and stuff. That was fucking mind-boggling, dude. The jungle is amazing, And I'm not talking about some retreat where they package it for you. I'm not talking about some stupid fucking package tour in Africa where you go see lions and shit. I'm talking about like really being out there, like really hanging out
Would you
there.
think the areas just outside of Bangkok is that type of jungle? Because I know when I was leaving Bangkok, I saw a lot of that stuff on the outside. But is that
There,
similar?
Southeast Asia does have some, Laos and Cambodia and Cambodia.
But
There's
I
so
mean,
many
like in
landmines.
Thailand, just outside of Bangkok. Like I'm talking about the areas that I'd seen with my eyes.
Yeah, yeah. There is like jungly kind of places in especially up.
When you go north, like Chiang Mai or something.
No, not Chiang Mai. You want to go the direction towards Burma. Up there on the border of Burma and Thailand. That area you would like. There's some really
Sounds
neat.
scary. That seems like a scary
Yeah, we
place
should go
to
up
be.
there. Let's go up there next time. Yeah,
Yeah, all right.
let's do it. I'll get
Yeah.
some good advice from Thai people. We'll go up there and it fucking be awesome. And it's cheap
Yeah,
and
I'm
easy.
down. Let's
Yeah.
go.
All right.
I'm down.
This is the kind of thing
So
that happens, like it's like now we're gonna go on some jungle adventure for sure. Because I've done it, but I want to do it where we're like together discovering it, right? You know what I mean? Like
yeah.
we were sitting there in Austin. It was like probably 2 a.m, 3 a.m, and we were laying in this public park and looking up at the stars. Yeah, after the summit, and we were in definitely a glow, right? You can kind of assume you know what that means. And we were just sitting there. We were like, me and a couple guys were looking up there at the stars. It was so beautiful. It was desert, It really is. Austin is not the desert, but as you drive through Austin, you're going through the desert to get there, and it's kind of an oasis. But at the end of the day, the sky, the sunsets, there is a lot of aspects of the desert, even in Austin. And as you sit there and look at the stars, when it's so fucking clear, the stars are just absolutely sparkling, And of course, it's more in the desert, or in the middle of the ocean, which I really recommend too. At some point, I would like to take some guys on a ferry, a 2-day boat ride from Tokyo to Okinawa. And it's very cheap and it's amazing. We'll see dolphins, sharks, whales. I mean, those things are just like dime a dozen. We'll see every goddamn animal, plus a bunch of cute Japanese girls. So it's country girls who live out there, because they use the boat as transportation between islands, and you meet some, and there's like all kinds of shit. There's the Iriomote cat, which is like the world's most primitive feline from the dinosaur era. There's all kinds of cool shit out there at these different islands in Okinawa Prefecture. Sometime I would like to take a bunch of guys in that area It won't happen on the Japan Summit. It would have to be another kind of thing. But
Yeah.
that area is also very unique. And even Japanese people, like I would say maybe 1 out of 1,000 or 10,000 people have taken that boat between the islands, because that's really when you discover what it's like to be Japanese in many ways. Like Japan is a nation of islands. It's not a city traditionally. It's a nation of islands and rice farming and people having to work together, communal living, communal helping. One guy has the water comes from up the mountain and has to go to each rice paddy on the way down. So each farmer has to do his share to make the water continue down. You can't hog and you can't let your field go to rot, That's why Japanese are so, they think about other people. Yeah, they're considerate of others because they had to do that in order to eat. Whereas we didn't have to do that in Europe. We didn't have that kind of need. So the culture was shaped by the geography and by the needs of the people. Like that's some of the stuff I like to explore as I get out, to different places and, see different things,
So let me just also say that if there's anyone listening to this that's in the U.S. or wherever you are, that getting to New York is easier, I would say it's more approachable to do a New York Summit and then go to a far abroad summit, right? If you feel hesitant to go to the New York Summit and then you want to go to one further, believe me, you're going to feel more hesitant if you think your first one's going to be in a different country where they don't speak English, right? At least here you're in America, or you're in an English-speaking place where you'll understand the customs. I'm talking about for the people that really don't get out much, right? There are people like you or me that I don't care. I'll go somewhere I don't speak the language. I'll figure it out, right? But there are people that are more hesitant, and if you're that person listening, the New York Summit's going to be nice and easy, especially if you haven't been to New York. You'll have guides. We'll take you to cool places. We'll get to see very interesting things, we'll say.
Yeah.
And you'll get to kind of feel part of the groups that way when we do go to a more foreign place. If we go back to Japan or Thailand or wherever, now at least you'll have a sense of knowing the people you're with. Right.
You'll already know and trust people. And then when you go to a new place, it does make it easier for sure. Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's no doubt. Knowing somebody's there, I'm the same way. Like if I do an Africa Summit, like I want to make sure somebody that is reliable is there to help kind of get things, just understand where the real crime is, what's safe, what's not safe, what can be eaten, what can't be eaten, just kind of like there's always something worthwhile knowing that you don't get in a travel book from a real person, right? And that's the thing, is we're a bunch of world travelers too. Like, when you meet a bunch of world travelers, it changes your life because they're always doing shit. You're like, oh, why am I sitting here? And you compare yourself, kind of like Shawn. Like you look at yourself and you think, well, but wait a second. There's nothing stopping me from doing what they're doing. They're not rich. They're not special. You don't need to be 8 foot tall to travel. You know what I mean? There's nothing. I'm not missing anything. And they're like, fuck it. I'm going to do it,
For like going back to what you were saying about looking at the stars, you could go to the person listening, you could go out and look at the stars any night, but you're not going to be in the frame of mind that you would be in. The summit will put you in a certain type of frame of mind that is hard to achieve whenever you want to in the regular day-to-day type of thing where you're just going to go in a field and look at stars and appreciate it.
It's funny you say that, because what was really funny was at the summit in Ozark Summit, right, at Rev's house, is we were running around. It was 4th of July, and I think it was 4th of July or it was 3rd of July. Anyway, it was right around that weekend because it was on that weekend. And I was running around and everybody was getting fireworks and it was craziness. And then a bunch of guys were like laying in the front yard, and they were like, come down here, come down here. And then I hadn't even thought about laying down because the yard was not big, right? It wasn't like a park. And I laid down with them and I realized that they were doing what I do, but even better. You know what I mean? Like they totally got it. And I just kind of, and that's what the summit's interesting is, like everybody, you'll find little groups of people doing stuff and you're just going to join them, And then you can go to another group doing something else. I'm not talking about during meetings, but just as we kind of cruise around, like nobody's judging and nobody has to go with anybody else. So people are just kind of doing stuff. And you're like, you kind of like, I laid down with them and I looked up and I was like, I stayed there for probably a pretty long time. And I was like, wow, like this is the best thing we could be doing right now. Like I was just thinking to myself, I didn't say anything because they were just doing their thing. I wasn't going to tell them what they were doing. I was just going to let them talk and look with them and kind of enter into, I think that's one very valuable skill you can have if you go to a summit is don't be a know-it-all. Just go to different groups as you're there and enter into what they're doing. Like see what they're doing. Don't come in with your story, telling people about the way women's nature, whatever, the way society is or artificial intelligence is fucking things up or whatever. Just go and just listen and join a group and observe and be a part of it. And then realize like, wow, what's going on here? Like you don't always have to be yourself. That feeling I had of being tired of being myself, like I can now breathe deeply and enter into other people's reality and enjoy it and really grow from it too. And then, take a breath and I'm right back. If I want to be the same, I can come right back to where I was, right?
Yeah.
That's I can't really put that into words, but it's very valuable. Like you don't always have to be right. You don't always have to know. You don't always have to keep the same yourself. Like you can just go and join into, I don't know what you call it. It's almost like a bubble of experience or a bubble of human consciousness or something. You're just entering into it and you're just listening to it. And then you're like, it's kind of like if you're a musician and you come into a room and there's a bunch of guys playing a certain, like they're doing jazz funk with no written sheet music, right? And they're just like doom 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 doom, and then the guy's like grabs the drums and he's like doom doom, and then they start to make like impromptu music together, like real jazz. I think that happens with consciousness and with experience and with ways of looking at things that is really neat. Really neat. A lot of times I don't remember what we talked about, but I remember I was in Dee's art studio at the Summit in Melbourne, and it was early morning. It was probably 5:30, and I got up to take a piss because it was down this hallway, and we were in an art studio, so it was so cool, all the art everywhere, and I was walking down the hallway, the statues and shit, and then there was two guys talking in the kitchen. And then I went to use the bathroom and I came back and I joined them. And it was like one of the best conversations we had at the whole summit. And I can't remember what it was about, but it was like, it wasn't me, it was them. They were doing it. They were totally in the groove. And I joined in and it was awesome. It was great. And it was like so cool because I only wish I would have recorded it. You know what I mean? I wish I would have said, hey, let's record this, because it was a great conversation just out of nowhere. I was half asleep when I started. That's why I probably didn't do it. But that's the kind of experiences that I really value.
Yeah. Well, so just to reiterate, the summit's going to be Labor Day weekend. So the first meeting will be on Friday the 2nd, but we're saying people to come on Thursday the 1st. I think it's a good idea.
No, the 31st. August 31st, the house is open.
Oh, August 31st is Wednesday. Okay. So August 31st, Wednesday, you guys come, and then the first meeting's Thursday night. Is that right?
Friday night. Friday at 4 o'clock. Night. Yeah. Okay. So Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So officially, it starts at 4 o'clock, let's say, on Friday, and then ends at 12 o'clock on Sunday. So if somebody's like super busy, executive has to fly in and fly out, totally get it. That's awesome. We'd love to have you come. Yeah. But we will be ready to have the summit from those times. But for people that have more time or want to see more in New York, want to experience more, come early, stay late. All the dates are on the flyer.
Yeah, Monday's Labor Day, so I can imagine most people have off that day. It's probably going to be something interesting in the books for that day. So
yeah, there's going to be so much shit going on. I forgot when I picked the dates. I didn't even know it was Labor Day because I don't even know American holidays anymore. And then you were like, "That's Labor Day," and I think Chime Time too. And I was like, "Oh, what's that?" Because I really don't even know what Labor Day is, to be honest. To me, I'll be kind of interested to see what they do on Labor Day, Americans.
No, it just marks the end of the summer, and it's just free day off. Everyone, sorry, this is the end of the summer. This is your last day.
Is that what it is? Okay.
Yeah, it marks, kids going back to school type of thing.
Oh, yeah.
So it's the end of summer holiday. So.
All right. And I think for people coming from overseas, I think it's a good time to come. I'm pretty sure. Like America's pretty open right now. And tickets are reasonably cheap. They're not like that crazy time when it was insane and there was nobody on planes. And it's a pretty good time to come, And New York is pretty darn cool place to be. And I'm guessing somebody will probably go somewhere afterwards. I don't know. But we'll see. Some of the guys went to Mexico after the last one.
Yeah.
And sent pictures, So like sometimes guys will do trips.
Yeah, that's true. After one of the ones in Bangkok, a bunch of us went to Koh Samui.
You guys went to Koh Samui. I got a bunch of pictures of Kenji and the guys in Mexico. I've gotten so many pictures. That's one of the coolest things after the summits is when people send pictures of what they're doing together with the other guys. And I'm like, fuck yeah, It was the same thing at the Japan summit is I would go to sleep early, right? And everybody else would stay up late. People were partying at night and going out. And they'd send me pictures of like drinking beers in the park with like Japanese girls. And they're like thumbs up, which means they boned them, right? And they're like, and then the girls like so happy. Like they're sitting there laughing. It's like 2 a.m. I have to get up to take a piss. And I get the pictures. I'd have a huge smile on my face. I'm like, the guys are all together having fun, fucking just kicking ass. And it's just like hilarious, It's hilarious what people get up to, actually.
Yeah.
It always gets me laughing. It gets me in a good mood when I see the other guys. I'm like, I want to be there. Where the people travel, right? All right.
Yeah, you listening, that could be you too. If you come to the New York Summit.
Yeah,
come
true.
on down or up, whichever direction you are from us.
Yeah, I'll just end on this. Gabe had a planned that he already paid for, a sailing thing, and he canceled that. And he's coming to the summit. So, hey, that's the kind of like, you didn't know we're going to have it. I didn't announce it early, and you're like, fuck it. I'm coming anyway. I'm like, hell yeah, baby. Hell yeah.
Reorganized schedule.
Yeah.
Fun to hang out with you guys, meet some new people, and, connect.
I want to hit Jersey Shore definitely this summer at some point.
Yeah, well, we could go next weekend, whenever.
All right. Fuck it.
Come on, come to this coast. Let's go.
What's the name? Snooky? What's the girl's name?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Snooky.
Snooky.
No guarantees we'll see her, but I don't know. I could show you some rats in Manhattan. It'd be close enough.
All right, some new Snookies. All right. Some let's say more the dates of the cars, what is that called? They're more contemporary models.
Yeah, that's it.
All right, man. My mom made some lunch, so I'm gonna go munch.
All right, cool.
Well, I'll see you guys. I'll see you soon.
Yeah. All right, Paul, and everyone, thanks for listening, and hopefully we'll see you guys soon also.
All right. Ciao.
Cool.
Bye.
Ciao.